Come on, Livingston, we're gonna go on and on and on. Together we can make it. We're gonna go on and on and on. Come on, Livingston.
Knocks it through. Mullen bursting into the box. Josh Mullen.
Together we can make it.
Mullen's ball across. It's turned in. It's Pittman who's got it. Livingston leads.
Road is long.
Can they get the ball back in? O'Brien.
Lead! And Livingston have the lead.
Man, score.
If we march to
The full-time whistle blows and David Hayes celebrates. And the Livingston fans join in exultation.
come on, Livingston.
Livingston have the lead against Rangers, and they are certainly rising to a few occasions on their return to the top flight in Scotland.
Hello and welcome back to TalkLivi, the podcast dedicated to everything Livingston Football Club. The games may be starting behind closed doors for now, but we still aim to bring you the best content we possibly can, with after-match reaction from every game, our reaction to the games, bring you special features and have exclusive content all season long. Today I'm joined again by the usual lads, Ewan, and our new inside media man, Callum.
Ooh, media man.
Brilliant.
First up, Callum, congratulations on your new role with the club.
Thank you very much.
A pretty exciting opportunity for yourself. What exactly are you going to be doing, and will you still have time for our mere mortals here at TalkLivi?
Absolutely not. I don't know why I'm here, but no, but I'm buzzing with it. Obviously, so it's a great opportunity for myself. Just going into my final year of university now, so it's a wee media role with Livi, sort of doing the post-match stuff, post-match interviews for the new LFC Live, and a wee bit of commentary as well. Myself and Dave Black will be involved in the commentary, so that'll be something that maybe look forward to. I'm not too sure. Hopefully it goes well on Saturday, but we'll need to see.
No pressure, mate. But every Livi fan will be listening to you.
Yeah, I know. I think it'll be fine. I'm just hoping it's a good game to obviously start off with. You're not wanting a 0-0 and you're talking absolute rubbish throughout the game. So
I expect loads of stats. By the way, I love a
oh
commentator
yeah,
with
I've
stats.
been doing my prep and stuff for a number of weeks now. So
You should be good at for the later on in the podcast as well. Then,
I
if
will,
you've got
mate,
lots of stats. No, brilliant stuff, Callum. Obviously, best of luck. I'm sure you'll do us proud
top
with
man.
that. Anyway, we've got lots coming up for you this week, including a look back at our business in the summer. There's been a few comings and goings, so we assess the departures and the new signings and look at our pre-season preparation.
In our first exclusive interview of the new season, we're delighted again to welcome the gaffer Gary Holt onto the podcast as he looks back at last season before previewing the season ahead.
It's then time to give those all-important season predictions as we take a look at how we think the Premiership will look come the end of the season.
And finally this week, we look ahead to our opening game of the new campaign. It's a trip to Paisley to take on St Mirren. We assess the opposition and talk tactics heading into the game.
It's been a busy summer down the Tony Macaroni Arena with the introduction of a brand new streaming service, LFC Live. The stadium brought to COVID standards. The launch of 2 new kits, but also no fewer than 5 player departures and 7 new arrivals to the playing squad. So let's take a look at those players who have left us. First up, Ricky Lamy off to Motherwell. What's our thoughts on that one, Andy? Don't know if you want to avoid this one, to avoid getting a fight with Ricky.
No, not necessarily. No, I made my feelings pretty clear at the time when the rumours came about that Ricky, I think it was the worst kept secret ever that Ricky was going to Motherwell. I think he's a decent enough player.
Good servant to our club,
Absolutely,
to be fair.
absolutely.
Did a good job.
Do I think we could replace him with better? Yeah, I don't see what's wrong with saying that. I think he's a decent enough player. He can play both roles in centre back, left back, decent utility player to have. But do I think we can do better? Absolutely, and I don't think there's anything wrong with saying that.
I think, my views on Ricky are that playing Premiership football for the first time when he came and signed for us, and to be honest, the first season he pretty much played out of position the whole of it, in my opinion. I think last season he probably had his best games playing at centre half. which I think is his natural position. The way we're setting up now, left side of a back three might have suited him a wee bit, but wee bit surprised he's going to Motherwell, with him becoming a bit of a bit part player second half of last season. But fair play to him, and you never know, he might excel like Gally has, having gone there as well. We didn't think Decky would go on to be a Scotland internationalist, so you look at how he's progressing going to Motherwell.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think about as well when he first came in, Ewan mentions there he played sort of left wing back until about December, and then we'd automatically given him a new 1 year deal. He's sort of one of our best players, because I remember the start we had that first season back in the Premiership. The whole defence was superb, and he was a real part of that. It would have been nice to maybe see him kick on a wee bit more, but I mean he's certainly been a very good servant to the club, I would say.
Listen, you'll not get any arguments from me there. When I think what Ewan is elaborating to is I wrote an article when this rumour came out, saying that he was basically saying he was a good player, with the odd sort of bit saying that I'd be surprised.
I think he described him as a bottom half Premiership player, was the term he used.
But then that is my opinion.
But then that is categorically wrong, because he was a top half Premiership player based on last season.
Fifth for Livingston, mate.
Yeah, fair enough. But
Do
how
your
many?
research.
He didn't play a lot of games.
So your statement was categorically wrong.
Good luck to him. I wish him nothing but success. I hope he does go to Motherwell and do well, because he has been a good servant for us. So we'll leave it at that.
Next up was the one I think most fans would have been disappointed with, which was Stevie Lawless, who's since signed for Burton Albion in League One. Thoughts on that one, guys?
It's a really good move for him. It sort of went maybe a few weeks after, maybe even a month after leaving Livi, and you're sort of going, well, where's he going to go? It didn't look like he'd had anything sorted. He didn't have a club, obviously. Things with this COVID, with the pandemic, it was a wee bit uncertain where he was going to go, and it was like maybe when David Hopkin left, his stock was high, and you're like, well, he ended up to Bradford, so it wasn't really much of a jump up, you could say. Obviously Bradford are a huge club, but no, I think it is a really good move for him. I think he'll do well down there. Obviously, he will be a big miss, I think. I'm sure we'll come on to it a wee bit later about Alan Forrest. I think he'll be a more than adequate replacement. Been really impressed with him in pre-season. But no, Lawless, you look at the assists last season, most of his goals, okay, you could argue were from the penalty spot.
Still used to put them in though.
Yeah, he was.
Same time.
You were always confident when we were awarded a penalty. I don't think he missed one.
No. I think if you look at it, was he not like the third highest stats in the league last season
for goals
in
and
terms of
assists
goals
behind,
and assists?
I think 3 boys who all played at Celtic.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I mean that shows you how important he was to us and the way he played, and obviously that all came about when we moved him further forward in his natural position.
Yeah.
I think it's right what you say, Ewan. It is a bit of a disappointment losing him, because he was such an important and a big player to our success last season. But again, if players are going to move on, I think Gary Holt was touching it a bit later in his interview, players are going to move on. We can't stand still and wait about. We've got to bring other players in to replace them. I think we have done, as Callum said. We'll move on to that a bit later.
I mean, I believe Lawless was offered a new deal, but obviously didn't take us up on it. And I think, as Bruni kind of touched on, I think we've got someone who's more than adequate a replacement. Again, as you touched on, I think it's a good move for him at the stage of his career. What is he, 29? Maybe 30, so he'll be getting much better money down there, I'd assume, and you can't really blame him.
No, listen, I'm glad he's got a move down south.
Also, he's played up here his whole career, so the opportunity to try something a bit
deserves
new.
it, to be fair, doesn't he?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I was going to say. I'm glad he got a move down south, and Burton's a good club. Hopefully, he does well down there as well.
I think as well, just to butt in, I think people forget as well that first season he did play right wing back. You look at him last season, he's playing on the right wing. He's a much better player in that position. Obviously, it's his more natural position. But that sort of shows, again, with Lammy playing left wing back, we were playing boys a wee bit out of position. And I think that's a credit to them. They've now, the following season, played their favourite position after doing a job for us when we needed it. Maybe we were a wee bit short in squad depth. So, I mean, credit to the both of them. They've gone on to get really good moves, and I think
100%.
that's brilliant for them.
Yep.
Another player that moved on, Chris Erskine. He's moved to East Kilbride, so he's gone down to the Lowland League. I believe some signing for them.
That's incredible.
I think he'll tear that league apart, because I think he still had, to be fair, he struggled with us for 18 months because he had a lot of injuries, but I still think when he did come in, he did a job for us more often than not.
I think he showed flashes of being a really good player.
Oh, you could see there was still class there.
Yeah.
I'm really surprised he's went down to that level. I
I
thought he was
Thistle-
still a championship player.
Well,
to be honest.
I think he's recently started up his own kind of PT, personal trainer business, so I think he's maybe seeing that as more of his full-time income, and then I think he's from East Kilbride, he lives in East Kilbride as well. So I can kind of see it. I reckon he'll still be getting decent money at East Kilbride for playing part-time, plus that, again, can't really blame him. And he's 32, 33, so...
It was unfortunate, it didn't really work out for him at Livingston, but I think, as you said, when he played, he gave his all, he done a job for us, and he's another player that obviously we thank and we wish him well going forward.
We had him on here as well. He was an absolute top man with us. So some very interesting stories and things.
Yeah, he wasn't a fan of Gary Caldwell.
No, he wasn't.
Right.
Or Mixu Pat was he?
Yeah.
I think managers that didn't play him, he just wasn't that keen. Ryan Schofield returned to Huddersfield after his loan ended. Only played a handful of games, but obviously the last game he played was the game at Ibrox, which we were all at, and he was... I think he showed the talent that he's got in that game in particular. He made some outrageous saves in that game, and hopefully he goes on, kicks on down at Huddersfield.
Yeah, well, he's signed a new contract there, hasn't he? So I'm sure he probably will kick on. He looks like a decent keeper.
And finally we had young Craig Henderson move on, someone who came up through the youth setup, but he's gone to East Stirling, so he's also moved on to Lowland League. Another one, you certainly like the look of Hendo.
Yeah, I really rated that. Every time, to be fair, it was very difficult to assess the lad. All I seen of him was reserve football.
Yeah.
And whenever he was playing reserve football, he always stood out as a player to me. The Lowland League's going to be some league, isn't it? There's some brilliant signings down there,
yeah.
Well, East Kilbride they're going all out to compete with Kelty, I think, this year for it. So I think it's a two.
East Stirling's made some good signings as well.
Living legend Greg Wild is there as well.
Yeah.
So wonder if East Stirling fans will blame Greg Wild for everything like we did.
Hopefully he makes a step up, Craig, because you mentioned there you've only really seen him reserve football. I can't really say I've seen him play the men's game, so hopefully that sort of helps his development as well, and he can kick on from there.
Yeah, 100%.
So that's it for departures as it stands. There may be a few more to follow, with rumours flying about many of our players, but for now we'll move on and take a look at the new additions to the squad. So first up, a signing I think we all called last season, the welcome and exciting addition of our United attacker Alan Forrest. We're all pleased with that one, aren't we, guys?
Yeah, I mean, we touched on it earlier on there that it was a signing we all kind of called for. We've all been calling for over a year, I think. It was one of the players that we were all shouting about and claiming it would be a good signing. It's great to finally get
top
that.
Scorer in the Championship, and that's what behind Shankland and
Nisbet. And as you both said earlier, a perfect replacement for Steve.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think over time he might prove to be one of our most important signings.
I think he's one of our kind of typical signings over the last couple of years since we got promoted, going and grabbing one of the highly rated guys in the Championship, but giving them that opportunity to make the step up. And I believe he has what it takes to kind of kick on. I mean, what was it, 10 goals, and I think he got 3 assists last year.
Yeah,
I think hopefully he adds a bit more to. I think he's the one thing I would say he maybe has over Steve is that little bit of pace, which I think at times I think we lacked a little bit. So I think that'll add to us a lot.
I've obviously been to a couple of the pre-season games, and I wasn't convinced early on with what the pair of you were saying you weren't that worried about losing Lawless. I was not distraught, but I was a wee bit like, I think we really struggled to replace him, and you were like, well, we've got Forrest coming in, and I wasn't really convinced, but seeing him in pre-season, he looks the part, and I think he'll be top class. I think he's going to play well. The way we looked like we were lining up, it's sort of a kind of 3-5-2, and Dykes would, if we obviously hold on to him, would be the 9. Forrest maybe sort of second striker in behind.
Yeah, kind of floating in.
I think he'll chip in with a lot of goals.
I do think the gaffer is on a one-man mission to ruin Ayr United. He keeps going back in for their players. The gaffer then moved on quickly to secure the return of Rangers goalkeeper Robbie McCrory on loan. I, for one, am delighted that Robbie's back. You guys, what are you thinking?
I'm buzzing with it.
Totally, I think listen, you're not at Rangers, and they don't extend your contract if you're not a good player.
Yeah.
No, at the end of the day, young keeper, he'll make mistakes like every young keeper does, but I think over the course of the season he'll win us more points than he'll lose us. I think it's a good signing.
I mean, obviously I saw him on the park and I liked what I saw, but when I interviewed him before the kind of enforced break, I was just genuinely impressed with the lad in general. I think very down to earth, but I think he knows he's got something about him, but he just seems totally driven to succeed, and I just got that impression with him. Like, you asked him if he requested to go out on loan several times with Rangers, and I think he said when he signed the new deal he wanted to go out and play.
He comes across really humble as well, and sort of like he just wants to keep improving and developing. He could easily come to, where was he, Berwick, Queen of the South, I think he was at Morton for a bit. He could come, even us, he could come to us and be, Billy big time and sort of, demand to play all of this. But I think he's come and he's settled into pretty much every dressing room. He's been a great goalkeeper wherever he's been, and
I think Rangers will see what we've done with a few other players we've taken on loan as well. Like obviously Hardy, Robbie as well. Jordan Thompson was another one who I think kicked on with us when he was with us.
Now at Stoke, isn't he?
Yeah, he's right. A big club down south. So I think Rangers will see the benefit that we've provided players and given them that exposure to play regular games.
I think he'll be a top goalkeeper.
Yeah, solves our goalkeeping problems definitely. Next
up, a striker signed from the amazingly named Indian Premier League side Kerala Blasters.
Good effort, Ian.
Matej Poplatnik.
And again, good effort.
So Slovenian striker, bit of an unknown quantity, but most of what I've got is, well, I watched a video of his goals for one of the Slovenian teams, and the thing I couldn't get over was all his goals from open play were with his left foot, and then he took penalties with his right. So he's obviously quite two-footed, which offers a bit of a threat in itself. But looking on Wikipedia, his goal stat, he does have a good goal return, to be fair, and the gaffer touches on it that he offers a goal threat. So
I'm not going to try and pronounce the team, but I'm sure it was in the Slovenian the Slovenian top flight. I'm sure it was something like 75 and 145. So I mean that's more than a goal every 2 games.
Yeah.
So that's
it's one of them. We've taken a chance. I think we've looked at his record. We've thought, you know what, he'll probably not be on a lot of money. Bring him in, see how he goes. If he hits the ground running, then brilliant. I think he'll take a bit of time. New country, new league. It's probably the highest league he's played at in terms of standards. He's going to be playing against some big clubs for the first time in his career. So we just have to see how that goes.
I think we've been quite good when there's been guys coming from abroad. Like you look at Lawson, for example. We kind of bedded him in for 6 months, and then he got his chance when I think Sean Byrne got suspended, and he just really kicked on after that. And he looked like he'd settled into the pace. And I read an interview with Steve Lawson as well the other day, and he talked about the pace of the game is just frantic here, and that was the thing he was struggling to adjust to the most.
I think we should expect that with him. He hasn't featured in pre-season, if I'm not mistaken, so I don't know if he'll be involved immediately. I think we should, again, as you said with Lawson, we should bed him in, and we should, he signed a 2-year deal with an option of a third, so we've got him for a while. So I don't think we should expect instant success.
No.
We then had a flurry of signings. We welcomed centre-back Jack Fitzwater from West Brom, goalkeeper Matt Stryjek from Eastleigh, Salim Kudia Asa from Queen's Park, and finally third loan spell for Kieran Brown. What are we thinking? Bruni, you've seen a bit more of the guys. Obviously you've been covering the games, so you can maybe give us a bit more insight to these guys.
Fitzwater, I'm going to say it now, will be one of the best defenders we've had at the club.
Do you know what? I'm glad you said that, because our next follow-up question was who's the signing that most excites you, and for some reason he's the one that stands out for me. I think he's got an excellent pedigree. 16
years at West Brom. Was he 6-year-old when he signed? He's I think he only played 1 game for them, but again he'll sort of have chemistry in a way with Nicky Devlin and John Guthrie, who will probably be among the back line. He looks really good. He looks like he can play with the ball. Obviously it's good for a defender to first and foremost defend, but he looks
a bit of a unit as well.
He looks comfortable. He looks to have a turn of pace on him as well. He just he's sort of mass centre half. He reminds me a wee bit of Craig Halkett.
Right. It's a high praise indeed.
I think he'll be. Here's where he makes a wonder in his first game. Obviously, no, but
hopefully not.
I do think he'll be one of. other than Forrest, one of the signings for us of the season, if not the league.
There you go. You heard it here first. If it doesn't work out, then Callum Brown's the man to see.
Let's not mention Ibrahima Savan last year.
You're still gutted he left, isn't it?
I think if you look at the signing of Asa for Queen's Park, I think that's one that flags up as a bit of a Scott Pittman.
Yeah.
He could come in and really surprise us. He's obviously scored a lot of goals in the lower leagues.
Mm-hmm.
We've taken a bit of a punt on him. He's scored his first goal in pre-season for us. He's had an overhead kick, so he looks like he's fully confident just now.
Gary spoke quite highly of him. I think Gary's quite optimistic with him.
Mm-hmm.
Again, when we signed him, I had a wee look at, found a video of his goals last season. He's obviously very good in the air. He scored 17 last year, but about 50% of them are headers.
Yeah, that like his goal against
and
Ross
I'd seen a couple of Kilsyth Rangers fans, obviously that's where he played in the juniors, and they talked about him being the best header of a ball they've ever seen. So I think with us, with long throws and stuff like that, I think he could prove a bit of a weapon for us.
Yeah.
He was at Lenzie Thistle maybe 2.5 years ago as a scaffolder, and you look at him now.
It's an amazing rise.
It's a strange position on the pitch, a scaffolder.
Well, yeah. I think though, it's great to see him score. It's not just pre-season because of what's happened. We're playing against Premiership clubs.
Yeah.
Maybe he scores against an Elgin or an Annan, you go, well, he's done that the last season. The fact he's scored against a Premiership club, I think that'll totally boost his confidence.
Oh, without a doubt.
The other one I'm delighted to see back is Keenan Brown. I'm really glad to see Brown. You guys slaughtered me when I called it last season. I was bringing him back in on loan, and now we were raving about him and hoping to get him back for this season.
Well, he's improved a lot.
Hopefully his loan spell isn't cut short like his last two. Through circumstances kind of out with his control. So, but I think again it adds to that continuity in the squad, doesn't it?
It's an excellent addition, and I think one thing we've got to think about that we're getting with Kieran Brown is that long throw. It's a massive weapon. It's a massive weapon for us. He's got a longer throw than Alan Lithgow.
Even watching the highlights, it just seems like it's been causing absolute havoc again and again.
He's good. He's actually, I think he's got a wee bit quicker. I don't know if it's just me. Maybe I was sort of glass half empty with him a wee bit. Not really expecting much. There was a couple of occasions especially Kilmarnock away in pre-season. He's gliding by boys down the left.
He was playing wing back, wasn't he?
Whipping balls in.
So overall, what do we make of signings? Obviously, you said Fitzwater's the one that excites you. You said Fitzwater as well.
Yeah.
I think Forrest is going to be the gem. Personally, I think as we've all said, me and you especially, Andy, have talked about Forrest, and I think he's more than adequately going to replace Lawless.
Yeah, I think when you look at the business we've done, it's yet again a masterclass for the management and the club. You look at our squad now, you could argue that we have got a stronger squad than we ever have done in our history. When you look at our team just now, we've got players that can play in multiple positions right across the pitch. We can change formations quite easily by moving players around. We'll come on to obviously predictions later on, but I'm really confident going into this season. I hope it doesn't bite me. Come back to bite me, but I'm really confident. So I'm really happy with the business we've done. Yeah,
just to add on that, obviously Fitzwater and Forrest I think will be great signings, and you mentioned the squad depth as well. I think the great thing is, you talk about a fullback, so you go Kieran Brown, maybe Nicky Devlin either side. You take them out of the team, one of them gets injured, suspended. You've got McMillan coming in.
You've got Steve Lawson who can play full back as well.
Yeah.
And I think we've got that now. We didn't maybe for a striker if Dykes was injured, but I think we do now. And I think all over the park, if there's a player in, maybe in a couple of positions, obviously, maybe a Bartley gets injured, he's vital to how we play, for example, but all over the pitch now, we've got players that can come in and we don't look weaker at all, which I think's testament to the management, and I'm really optimistic. In our first exclusive interview of the new season, we welcome Gary Holt onto the podcast. Ewan and myself spoke to Gary in length about life as a football manager during lockdown. We take a look back at last season and preview the new season as a very different league campaign sits in the horizon. This week on TalkLivi, we're delighted to welcome back onto the podcast the Livi gaffer Gary Holt. Gaffer, how are things?
Aye, not too bad. Not too bad. Slowly getting back into the swing of things, but it's also the fact that it's not going to be the same as it's always been. It's different. But it just becomes the new normal, shall I say? And you just got to do these things to get into training, get into the games, and try and educate the lads into what they need to do and how they need to go about it.
Yeah, so it's been a strange few months with lockdown. How have you found coping with it all? I believe you also had a trip to A&E during lockdown as well.
Aye. Don't get me wrong. I found it difficult at times. I thought the first 2 weeks, I thought, this is quite good. I'm not quite enjoying this. It's like your holidays, and you're not doing too much, and days become nights and nights become days, and you're quite happy. But then, as it dragged on, and the uncertainty, and the more information that was out there, the more people that were dying from it, I think that suddenly hit home that how serious it was. But I think it gives you a wee insight into how retirement can be in later years, and I'm not sure I take it too well. To be honest, I do understand now when people say about people when they retire, you'll be bored, you'll know thingy, you'll be this, and I would need to find something to do. I would need to keep going. If you're an active person, I think you need to have that and find different hobbies and stuff. Because I'm not the best gardener in the world. I'm not going to lie. I'm not the best. I'll cut grass. That's about my limit. I tend to kill most plants when I get into contact with them for some reason. Plants don't go on. So it's and then obviously I had the unfortunate case of standing up and falling ill. Totally sober, not a drink in the system. Thought I'd make a coffee and my legs decided to give way. So that wasn't clever, but I'm getting there, slowly but surely.
Nobody can be prepared for this sort of thing, especially as a football manager. How did yourself and the squad sort of adapt to lockdown?
It's probably the first time and only time that you have to say to them, you have to be really selfish. You have to really be selfish and push yourself to the limits individually, whereas in the team sport, a team environment, although you're all getting fit and you're all trying to get fit and it is an individual thing, but when you're in training as a group, you get pushed through, you get help, your teammates will keep you going, there's camaraderie, there's that competition. You don't want to be the one at the bottom, you want to be the one near the front, and
yeah.
But when you're on your own, you have to fight your demons. You have to fight the wee devil and the wee angel, the one telling you to stop, the other one telling you no, keep going, the other one saying no, it's all right, nobody's watching. And you can. We've all been there. We've all done it. We just go, I'm out for a run. I might hit 25 minutes. It's 24, 30. Doesn't matter. I'll just walk. Whereas I think they all had to be that selfish to push themselves to be as fit as they could be for coming back in, and that's what we needed. So I think they adapted to it well. I think when they knew there was a sort of end in sight, that they were going to get back in, they were going to get back to group training, it certainly helped to have that focus for them.
Yeah, so no trips abroad this pre-season, but I'm sure it'll be a great feeling for you and the lads getting back out in the pitch training again. How have the players and the staff settled back in, and have you had to make any kind of significant changes to a typical pre-season?
We're all going into the unknown. That's the thing. It's a short, very short pre-season compared to others. Less games than you've ever played. Played pre-season games against people in your league that you're going to play, which is unheard of. So there's very much we are going into the unknown this year. We don't know. It's basically a whole squad of players being out long-term injuries. We're going into games now, and you're almost hoping a wee bit of fingers crossed that they can get through the first month without too many injuries, because we've got 6 massive games after having 4 months off. Seems a lot, but we'll embrace it as we do. We'll meet it head on, but it's just I think it's being ultra professional, and also being a wee bit more honest with each other, if that's the word that we're looking for. That if somebody has got a wee slight niggle, just to stop and tune up, rather than I want to push through, I know I'm going to be slower, because we can't risk people being injured for any length of time that it's going to harm it.
Before we come on to the sort of comings and goings over the summer, we thought we'd take a look back, obviously, to what's been a hugely successful season. Obviously, achieved a top 6 finish. How big of an achievement is that for a club of our size, and so with the resources that we've got?
Can't remember what happened. What happened last season? It's that long ago.
I think we finished 5th.
I think we finished 5th. It's surreal. It is surreal, and you sometimes have to pinch yourself, because I had this argument. People were going on about, it's all right for Livi and all right for you to say because you were sitting 5th, you don't really need to say them. But we still had aspirations that we could catch the ones above us. And whether that could have happened or not it's pie in the sky, you know what I mean? But if you sat this time last year and said to me, you'll finish 5th in the league, I'd have probably went, nah, I think you need to go and see a doctor. We're not aiming that high just yet. We want to stabilise, we want to push on. And I'm always the same, and it'll be the same this year. It's first and foremost is the secure footing in the league for the team and the club. And the sooner we can do that, then you can start looking to where you can actually get to. And that was the thing. We knew we were going to stay up. So then we could start planning to then go, right, who's next? Who's above us? Can we try and get them? Can we try and catch them? And who knows, we may not have got close to them. But it was a good carrot to have, rather than looking behind us and worrying about we need Hamilton to do us a favour, or we need St Mirren to draw with Motherwell. You know what I mean? You were looking, whereas it's always good then it's in your own hands to then have something to play for and chase. And that's what it will be this year. It'll be, first and foremost, can we stay in the league? Because then we can build on and off the park. And that's one of the things is people don't just realise it's not just what happens on the park. I know the product on the pitch helps sell sponsorship, helps bring fans in, helps bring sales and everything, but you've also got to have the experience of it. Everything needs upgraded, and it's not cheap. It just doesn't happen. It's not just a magic wand and that's the whole outside painted, that's the toilets all fixed, that's the upgrades for the media room, the upgrades for the media people sitting in the stand, and people don't see that. They just expect to come and watch the football and that's it. But if you think about it, if you turned up and the stadium hadn't been upkept to what the levels it needs to be, you'd be away going, look at the state of this. How are these there? You can't be at that level. And that's the thing. It goes twofold. You want a secure footing in the league. You want a longevity at it, but you also want the safety of the club first and foremost. You have been there longer than me. You have been fans longer than me, and you can remember the days when they went down the leagues. So we want to not. Hopefully that won't happen, and we can build on what we've got.
Yeah, so after a bright start last season, we've had a bit of a sticky patch of form between the tail end of September, late November. Was that quite a difficult period for the squad, and was it difficult trying to keep their spirits up as well?
It was difficult in the aspect that the performances were really good.
Yeah.
The performances were really good. I think that probably the Hamilton one away from home when we lost 2-1 late on was probably the one in that spell where you think that didn't sit. But we were in a lot of games, 2-1 at Kilmarnock, 2-1 at Motherwell. There was a lot of that the fine lines at this level against the teams as I'm talking about, being in the league, the Aberdeens, the Motherwells, the Kilmarnocks, the teams that know how to get the results, know how to get the job done. You look at St Johnstone, Tommy Wright's head was getting called for day one. The League Cup campaign was terrible, the start of the league was terrible, blah, blah. Whereas us who are in the game and know how long he's been there and know how long he does his job, know how long he can keep doing it at this level, you know it's going to change. And that's the thing, you've got to look at these people and these clubs and think, how have they done it? How have they continued to do it? And how can we emulate that? How can we enhance in that? And that's what we're trying to do. Things seemed to click again between December and February. Obviously, results that would shape our season. I think we only lost 2 games out of the 12 in between those months. Was that sort of a point where you realised top 6 could be a reality? No, we honestly never looked at top 6 at all. As I said, we only looked at the table when it was the lockdown was finished. It was everyone else was talking about, they're sitting 5th on the top 6, blah, blah. We just looked game on game, but we knew the run of fixtures were going to be tough in that middle spell. We knew then that we had a run of 12 games that would probably define where we would end up, because it was teams that we felt more comparable with, more of an even chance of getting something out of the games. Whereas, don't get me wrong, the ones before, like I said, you turn the Kilmarnock into a draw, the Motherwell into a draw, so a few of the other games where we never got anything, and you're thinking we've not had too bad a start. But that's what you find at this level. It's that consistency. It's that day in, day out, week in, week out. Can you produce it? And that spell, like you said, December through to February was massive for us. But also take into account, in that middle spell, I think we lost some of our vital players. I think Linden was out for a spell, Pitsy was out for a spell, Big Al was out for a large spell and was in and out. They're big players for us. We're big players at the time, so it all goes hand in hand.
Obviously, the season ended quite abruptly. You've touched on it already, but what games would you say were highlights during the season, and which ones do you want to try and put behind you as quickly as possible?
Well, I've touched on the Hamilton one.
Yeah.
That it still grates in me. It still grates in me the fact that I thought we were comfortable within the game. We're up 1-0, and we managed to shoot ourselves in the foot. That really. Whereas other games, you lose games of football. I understand that, right? And I hate losing games, and I don't like it. But there's a way to lose a game. There's a way to go about losing games, and I just felt the Hamilton one, we managed to snatch defeat for the jaws of victory. And then you look at the ones, and people say, "Oh, the Celtic game." Right, the Celtic game was magnificent, but I thought the two home performances against Motherwell and Hibs were exceptional. I thought the Motherwell one, I think if I'm on my memory says, I think we only beat them 1-0. I thought the performance was outstanding. I thought to a man, I thought we dominated the game. I thought and they were riding high. They were up third. They were flying, and I think that gave everybody a wee shot in the arm that we're actually not a bad side. But I also take it back. I also think the winter break when we went away helped the players massively, because we played two good sides. We played Ajax young team who were exceptional, keeping the ball, rotation, moving. But then we played Anderlecht, and I think coming away with that with a draw when we probably should have won it, I think you could see the boys suddenly have that wee kind of strut of, we're not a bad side, you know that. We're actually quite good at this. We actually have rubbed shoulders with, and you get the wee Phillips from certain games where you think you come off with the head high, the chest puffed out, and thinking, I went toe-to-toe with some multi-million-pound players here, and we've actually come away with a draw when we should have got a win. And I think that gave them the boost then to push right on. And I think the second half of the season was excellent from then on.
Yeah, I mean, you touched on the Motherwell game. I distinctly remember Stephen Robinson after that game in the press room, and he couldn't praise us highly enough. Said how we just absolutely bossed them for 90 minutes, basically. And I think they hit the post late on, and he was like, that would have been the most unjust equaliser probably ever.
Their keeper had an absolute blinder.
Oh, I honestly think that, and that's what I'm saying. People go at me, I must have been in the Celtic game. Must have been a Celtic game. You beat them 2-0, blah blah, and I'm like, aye, but I think the performances, Hibs at home and Motherwell at home, we were just at it from the minute we started to the end. And it's like you said, I think if they were both boxing matches, the till would have been thrown in. So really, really, really pleased for the boys that the levels that they can produce week in, week out was exceptional in the second half of the season.
So going into the new season now, are there particular things, obviously from last season, that you've highlighted the team need to improve on, or maybe just keep doing?
Well, I'll get it out of the way before somebody else labels it. We need to win more games away from home, because that seems to be the thing that everybody jumps on. But we did get good results away from home. We went to Hibs twice and drew. We went to Hearts and drew. When we should have won, I'll not deny it. And that's where we need to improve. That's where we need to be ultra professional. And I think the more game experience at this level, the more exposure to them situations is going to help us. Whereas the first year we were a wee bit naive, and this is great, we're at the Premier League, let's go and play West. Then last year it was still favourites to go down, but everyone knows and then it was we'd lost the spine of our team, and we were spineless, and how would we adapt, how could we cope, and we proved that. And now we'll still be favourites, or one of the favourites to go down, but we like to prove people wrong, and we'll be doing that here, and we'll be giving it everything in games, but also we'll have that wee bit more game knowledge, game experience at this level, that how to see games out, how to be ultra professional, like the Commanders, like the St Johnstones, like the Aberdeens, because you've all watched the games, and at times you felt we went 2-1 behind, kind of says getting none back in it. They kill the game, they know how to play the game, they know how to put the ball in areas to kill the momentum, and that's something we need to learn, rather than just keep going, let's get another goal. It's great. Sometimes you win ugly, and I think that's something that we need to try and implement, the winning ugly side of it. Not get caught up sometimes. Whereas I want to entertain, I want the fans entertained, I want you to come to the game and go away thinking, oh, I might come back next week, that was magic. But I'm sure sometimes you'd be quite happy taking a boring 1-0 win. And that's the thing, you're trying, it's that happy balance. Whereas I think some teams at this level know how to win that way. They know how to see a game out, how to grind a game out, whereas we're still a wee bit too the impetus to try and go and score more goals.
Yeah, there's been the usual movement with players coming and going over the summer. The most notable players moving on were wee Steve and Ricky Lamie. Did those departures come as a surprise, or were you aware that was going to happen and you were able to kind of prepare for it?
No, it's part and part of football. It's not something I ever worry about. It's just you adapt to it. It's people say, oh, do you get frustrated, do you get like this, do you get that? No, football's a short career. It's a really short career, and players have got to make the most of it as best they can, and that's just part of it. People move on, people will stay. We'll adapt, the club will evolve. It's as long as this club's in a secure footing for many years, and even after I'm away, whenever that may be, right? Hopefully not for a long time, because I've done my job right. That's what's the most important thing, is the club. At the end of the day, it is and sometimes people forget that. Sometimes people think, oh, the players are important. The players are important. The longevity of this club and the stability of this club is far more important. So people said we couldn't survive when the other ones left. Liam Kelly's, Gally, Alkett, Hardy. I know Hardy was on loan, but it was like, oh, we can't, like, how are we going to adapt? How are we going to? And then it was, now Ricky's left and Steve's left. How are we going? The club evolves, and because if you don't, you're standing still, and if you're standing still, you're getting left behind. And that's the thing, we don't ever want to get left behind in any department, and that's why we're trying to improve every area. So it doesn't bother me if people leave, or because I'll go and get somebody else, and the club will go and get somebody else to come in and hopefully enhance what we've got.
On to new arrivals, a couple familiar faces returning, Kieran Brown and Robbie McCrory returning back on loan. Is that good to help with the continuity from last season?
I think Kieran's been unfortunate, because obviously the first year he came, he got injured after starting.
Yeah.
And then last year the pandemic hit. So we're actually hoping to get around 5 or 6 games out of him before something happens this year. But no, the good thing is Kieran knows us. Same as Robbie. Robbie knows what he's coming into. They know the club, they know the staff, they know what's expected of them, they know the levels that they've got to hit daily and weekly. And that's a good thing, and we know what they're about. We know the characters, we know how professional they are, we know how they want to improve and kick on in their careers, and it seems to work hand in hand for both parties. So hopefully they both go kick on and have tremendous seasons for us.
Another arrival which was dealt with quite early on was Alan Forrest. Now, you said last year that you signed Robbie Crawford from Ayr just to clean your boots. Is Al to do the brogues on match day?
I think I was just to make my coffees. Till he makes one right, then he might get a chance to play. But no, I get a fair bit of stick for saying what he's fair, to be honest. But no, it just shows you that there's players out there if you want to take the time to go and look, take the time to go and evaluate what's there and what can improve you, rather than looking at, where's he playing? No, he's not good enough because he's at that level. There are different reasons why players are at different levels, and you can name them and rain them off, like not had a chance to fill out with the manager, maybe not fit enough at that time, coming back from injury, fell out of love with the game. There's all different reasons, so it's taking the time to go and do your analysis, get your eyes on them, have a look at them and see what they're good at. And we all, even from the day I went to watch Rab playing, he was one that always caught the eye, but one we had to be patient with, and one we have to persevere with, and hopefully in the coming months we'll get to see what he's really good at.
We've also brought in guys maybe fans don't know so much about, the likes of Fitzwater, Paul Platnick. I'll just say Salim just in case I butcher the name. Stryjek as well. What can we sort of expect from these guys?
They've all got different tools in their toolbox. That's the thing. They all bring a different ingredient to the club. And Salim, as I said, touched on Alan there. Salim probably fell out of love with football when he was younger, then decided that that's what I want. This is what I want, and he worked damn hard to get the chance. First and foremost with Queen's Park, and then we've taken him in and to have a look at him. Knowing obviously we've watched him, knowing his goal record, and did he have that hunger? Did he have that desire to go in and not be overawed? And he certainly showed that, and that's why he's got the contract he's got to kick on again. And we'll see how well he does. Max has come in, goalkeeper, to fight for the number 1 jersey. Simple as that. Good pedigree. Probably lost his way a wee bit at Sunderland, went to Eastleigh and done really well. And we were looking. So he'll come in. Matty's another one who's been on the radar for a while. Had a look at him. Decent pedigree again. Different style of player to what we've got in the attacking areas. But his energy, his work rate, but he also knows where the goal is. So that's good. And Big Jack was one that we knew from obviously John and Nicky being at Walsall. We knew he'd been there, came across the radar, he might be available, did a bit more insight into how he's done this last season as such, and thought, he's a good one, he'll be a good fit for what we're looking for. And they've all come in and they'll all take time to settle. That's the thing. They all take time to settle. There'll be some that will hit the ground running and go sky high. And there'll be other ones that will come in and flatline and take a wee bit of time to adapt. But that's not just boys coming from a different country. That's also boys coming from Scotland, because we're a different club. We train differently. We play differently. Everyone's got to adapt, and you have to be patient with them. You have to give them the time to find their feet and see how we work and how well we work together. To get the best out of each other. So we hope, and with fingers crossed, that they all enjoy it and all embrace what Livingston's about and get to show their talents on the pitch.
I know you won't want to give too much away, but do you expect there to be any more kind of movement in and out, obviously with the window being extended till October, with the current situation?
I don't think you can never say never, if you know what I mean. I think we're always looking. We're always looking to enhance the group. Players are coming in, training to try and impress, which we've always said is available, and give them an opportunity to do that. And then if they're coming and they set the world alight and you think, he's actually better than what we thought, then you try to make something happen, or you try to put it on the back burner for if something does happen to someone else. So you just don't know. You just have to adapt and move with it. And if someone leaves, they leave. If we can get some in, then some will come in. But it's always about enhancing the group. It's not just taking numbers in for taking numbers' sake. It's for improving and making them better. And that's what you want.
We've had 3 friendlies to dust off the club webs. Dundee United, Kilmarnock, Ross County, all teams that we'll be facing this season. Is it slightly different? You touched on it a wee bit earlier, playing these teams that will obviously play throughout the season, and are you satisfied with the performances so far?
Oh, I am. I'm really happy with the performances. I thought I think the three teams we've played would all agree. I think the games were really good games. There was no friendly atmosphere about them. It was do it right, and it was done right. It was really good. But it's again, it's pre-season is quite tough because sometimes it's more about the performances and trying to get the players integrated and not too bothered about results in a way, if that makes sense. Without being too, don't get me wrong, we don't get spanked 5-0 and then say it doesn't matter, because it does matter. Because we were playing three teams in our league, because we were a shortened pre-season, we wanted to have hit the ground running as such. So we're going giving us the best opportunity for St Mirren. And I think we've done that. Yeah, we're disappointed with some of the goals that we conceded, but I think a lot of the play in the three games was really good, really positive. Messages were carried out, and it will just take time for the new arrivals as such to integrate into how we play. But it was good to try different things as well within these games. But I'll always take winning games and not losing as a good indicator for where you want to be and how you want to approach things.
And having now played a couple of matches behind closed doors, have you noticed a difference in the way players have played, or compared to a normal match day, or has it just been basically the same, more of the normal?
I've realised how loud we are on the bench. No, it's strange. I'm not going to deny it's weird. It's weird getting used to it, and I think it's going to be weird when we go to St Mirren on Saturday. And I think it's then going to be weird the following weeks until it changes. But it's whoever adapts to it better, the quickest, rather than using it as an excuse. Oh, well, there's no fans, there's no atmosphere. It doesn't really matter. Well, it does. We know it does. So we'll just get on with it, and we'll deal with it as best we can, and we'll try to make it as upbeat as possible, as we always do, and to get the best out of them.
You mentioned there Saturday we face St Mirren as the season kicks off. You touched on it a wee bit earlier. I assume it's just to maintain what we've done the last couple of seasons. But what are the ambitions and aims for the upcoming season?
Well, the long-term goal of this season is to stay in the league. That's it. First and foremost, guaranteed 10th means you're in the league. First and foremost. Then we can look at it. So you've got your short-term, medium-term, and long-term goals. So long-term is the safety of the club in the Premier League, and then it's how quick can we do that. Now that might be a medium-term and a short-term. It's how quick can we get to get wins on the board. How quickly we can pick points up. Can we go on an unbeaten run? They're all things that we want to try and achieve, and it's players as well, targets of how many goals, how many assists, how many clean sheets, and the more they buy into that, the more competitive you can make it within your team. Certainly breeds success, and that's what we want. So first and foremost, it's staying in the league, especially I think because it's a wee bit unknown this year of shortened pre-season, as we touched on, games that we've played, etc. So we'll have that first and foremost, and see where we can get from there. I would like a good cup run like we did last year, and maybe go a wee bit further, but we'll see.
I take it you'll obviously want to get 45 points so you can shut Callum Carson up as well.
Don't worry, that's been kept in the back burner, so he'll get his dig in the ribs when I see him. So he's also had a wee dig at lately about we haven't scored in so many weeks or something like that. I've seen someone and I thought, I said, just another one, just another nail in his coffin, shall we say? So no, it's that's what you want. It's targets. It's something to aim for, rather than just say I want a position or I want this. I want to aim for beating the target we set 2 seasons ago, and I think further to believe we'd have beat it last season. So we need to get past last season points total first and foremost, and then we did it with 8. We were so many points. I think it was 39 with 8 games to go or something like that. So we've got to beat 39 first and foremost. How quickly can we do that? And then 45 is the next target.
As always, Gary, it's a pleasure getting to chat to you. And it goes without saying, we wish yourself and the squad the best of luck for the new season, and hopefully we can get back to the Spaghetti Had soon to cheer you guys on.
No problems. It was great, guys, and I really do look forward to seeing you all down there and giving you a fair bit of stick back.
It's that dreaded time of the year again. Predictions. To be honest, I don't think we done too badly last season. We all underestimated Hearts, but so did everybody in Scottish football.
To be fair, I think we all got more points than Hearts did last year.
Yeah, probably.
We were just trying to guess the score.
And we underestimated ourselves as well after what was a brilliant season. So going into the new campaign, what are we all thinking in terms of final league placings come the end of the season? Ewan, let's start with you. How are you looking for your leagues?
So I'll run my 1 to 12. So I think Celtic will do 10 in a row. Rangers second. I think Motherwell will finish third again. I think Hibs will be better this year. I think their business has been good, but I think Motherwell will pip them. I think they're better defensively. I think Aberdeen will finish fifth. Lack of recruitment, and I think they're a team on the decline in my opinion. I've gone for us to be top 6, and I'm not normally as positive as
I
that.
was just going to say that, yeah.
I think I've got Dundee United 7th. I think the fact that they've got goals and Shankland, albeit I still think he's got juries out on him, he's not done at top flight, but I think that'll make a massive factor compared to the other teams. Ross County 8th, St Johnstone 9th, Killie 10th, St Mirren 11th, Hamilton 12th.
The good old Hamilton at the bottom prediction every
season.
I
think Hamilton have lost key players.
Yeah, they have.
Yeah.
For them, Gogic being one in particular. They've lost Oakley as well. Mikael Miller, and I don't know how well they've replaced that. Alston's another one that went, wasn't he? So, and I think St Mirren, I think they've recruited all right defensively.
St Mirren will be top 4, mate.
I think they've recruited okay defensively, but I didn't even think they were that bad defensively last year. I think they just offered a distinct lack of punch up top, and I don't think they've recruited in that area, and I think they'll just struggle to score goals.
I've wrote a few things down about obviously St Mirren going into the preview, so I'll leave them till later, but you're basically on the right lines in terms of what I wrote down. Big call for Aberdeen, that down in 5th place.
I think
McInnes won't survive 5th place.
I think Hibs have recruited well. I think the 3 signings they've made are all signings in areas where they needed to. Gogic, as much as I'm not a personal fan of him, but I think he's the exact type of player that Hibs have been missing. Just an animal in the middle of the park who'll just do the dirty side of the game. Dre Wright, I think they needed a winger, and I quite like the look of Dre Wright when I've seen him play for St Johnstone. Nisbet obviously scored a lot of goals last year. If he's in a team that's creating chances, I'm sure he would probably score more goals as well. But I think Motherwell would pip them because I think they're just better defensively than Hibs. As much as they've signed Gogic, I still think their back 4 is poor. I think you can still get at that with Hibs.
And a couple of other things that I'll pick you up on, obviously Livingston top 6, it's not like you to be as confident like you said.
Don't get me wrong, I'll still take 10th. But I just think our squad's good. I just think we've got a very good squad, and I think we cause teams problems. Having watched the pre-season games, like even the long throw, everyone knows we've got it, but teams still don't know how to deal with it and defend it. I think we've got different ways we can play. I genuinely believe we've got a good squad there, and I think the teams that have got below us, I think, would envy our squad.
And finally Celtic to win that 10 in a row.
Rangers are a bunch of bottle merchants. They'll win the league come December, and then they bottle it. I just think Celtic have got that mentality. I just think they'll be better, and if Rangers sell Morelos,
it's hard
when
to
you
replace.
sell him right before the start of the season, that's going to be a difficult one to replace.
Yeah. So Callum, on to you then. Let's hear what you're thinking.
Well, you've got the top 2 obviously. Celtic, I think, will win the league. I think they'll get that 10 in a row. You mentioned it there. Rangers, I don't think they'll bottle it. I think Celtic will just be too good. Team full of serial winners. Scott Brown, you guys that have been there throughout the whole of the 9 trophies so far. And I just don't see Rangers stopping them with the current squad. Who knows, they could sign somebody, a couple of top class players in the next few weeks. But I just think
Celtic are better all over the park.
Yeah, I agree. I've got Aberdeen third. Obviously, well, Rangers second. Aberdeen third. I think they've recruited actually all right.
What, one player?
Well, Johnny Hayes, experienced player, he won the league last season, and I think they've not lost anyone. I don't think they could obviously still lose people. McKenna, Cosgrove.
Do you watch Aberdeen last year and honestly think they'll finish third?
Yeah, I do.
Really?
I just think they will. I don't know. I
I
think
thought Aberdeen were honking.
Yeah, but
I genuinely thought they were
they're
honking.
the only team we haven't beaten since we came up. They're our bogey team. I just think they're not maybe the prettiest to watch, but I think they will grind out results, and that experience will take them through. I think Hibs will be a lot better. I've got them in fourth. Jack Ross now full season in charge. We'll not mention Ewan's thoughts on him, but they've also recruited well, and I think when we played them last season, they looked, especially in the away game, we sort of not hammer. It was 2-0, but we totally dominated them. I thought on our patch. Then we went to Easter Road and they were a bit more solid, and I think with the recruitment they'll be a lot better defensively this year because they were alright going forward. I've got Motherwell in fifth. Still think they'll do really well. It'll be a big battle between Aberdeen, Hibs and Motherwell. I think that's sort of
I think it'll be close between those three for third place. I think they'll all be kind of vying for it, but I personally just think Aberdeen have become stale. I've sort
of got it. I mean, the league is sort of 4 mini leagues, so you've got the top two, third, fourth and fifth, and then you've got, I think, either us, Kilmarnock or St Johnstone jostling for the final top 6 spot.
So what have you got?
I've got Livingston 6th.
Okay.
I think out of everybody, I think right now we've got the strongest squad. Not just starting 11 but squad altogether. I'm really optimistic.
You've seen Kilmarnock already this season. What were your thoughts on them?
It was a weird one because I thought they looked all right. I think Finley's a really good player for them, but again, they didn't really play. They sort of played a mix of an 11.
Right.
So they sort of first half they probably played their best back four and a couple midfielders, and then second half they probably played their best four, like Brophy, Bark, Power all came on in the second half. So I think combined they'll actually be all right.
I think St Johnstone and Kelly, I think again it's the lack of recruitment, and I just think it's that obviously the situation kind of can dictate it a lot, but I mean they've lost O'Donnell, who was a big player for them. They brought in the boy McGowan, who I quite liked.
I think he'll be good.
So they've replaced him, but Kelly didn't. Again, it's the going forward aspect with Kelly. I don't think they offered a great deal in that aspect, and I don't think they've improved on that, and I don't think St Johnstone have either. And it'll be interesting with Tommy Wright going, how they're going to play under Davidson as well.
Yeah, that's again the new manager aspect. So I've got Kilmarnock 7th, St Johnstone 8th, Dundee United 9th. I think St Johnstone will be fine, clear of relegation, but I don't think they'll be as good obviously as they were under Tommy Wright. Guy's been there, seen it, done it. And as well, you've got the Mellon in at Dundee United, Mickey Mellon. I think they'll be fine. Again, you've got Shankland, who's probably going to get you goals. Okay, there's the element of he's not done it in the top flight, but I think they will be fine. There's folk tipping them to piss it and get in the top 6.
Yeah.
I do think if Shankland was to go, I genuinely think it makes that big a difference that I think I would have them in about St Mirren and Hamilton, because I think a lot of people said this with them. Yeah, they kind of scooshed the championship last year, but they weren't great.
They weren't great. No.
Folks said they weren't great.
A lot of their fans were saying they were quite happy that Nielsen was away because the style they play was boring. They weren't great to watch.
They never looked that great. I mean, I think Alloa was probably their bogey team last year. They never really looked that great.
Yeah, I watched a couple of the games that they show on the Friday night with Alloa, and Alloa bossed them. Like Alloa were knocking the ball about and playing it, whilst I just thought they were poor. So I genuinely think that's the big difference with them is up top.
So there's your bottom 3 then, Callum.
Got St Mirren in 10th. Obviously we play them at the weekend. I think they'll be a wee bit clear of the bottom 2 that I've got, because I think they've strengthened well. Shaughnessy, Tate, I think are really good signings. Again, it's just going forward with St Mirren. They'll probably draw a lot of games, but will they get 3 points? I've got Hamilton 11th. I don't know why. I just think they will stay.
You almost like back them to get relegated against your peril. Like you just know what they're like. They don't know how to get relegated type thing.
But again, Ewan mentioned that they've lost, Gogic is the base of that midfield. They've lost Miller, Oakley, a lot of good players back.
McGowan as well.
Yeah, McGowan. So I just think, I don't know. I don't think they'll come bottom. If they're going to go down, they're going to go down with a fight, and it'll be through the playoffs. And I've got Ross County in 12th. In my opinion, they were the worst team we played last season. And I just think
Ross County have someone who can get them goals.
They have, I do really like Billy Mackay. I like Ross Stewart, but I think it's defensively. If I was a Ross County fan, I wouldn't be filled with any confidence at all. So congratulations to Ross County on finishing top 6. But no.
Andy, what about yourself?
Yeah, so like last season, I'm going to go against the grain again and go for Rangers to stop the 10 in a row.
That went well last season.
Well, to be fair, they were going well, and it was until after the winter break that they won the Winter Break League.
They won the Winter Break League.
I think they've recruited quite well. As you said, Ewan, the worry is that they lose Morelos this close to the start of the season. Well, the worry for them is that they lose someone like Morelos at the beginning of the season. But
they've won the friendly cup as well.
They've got a lot to prove. They've had a lot to prove over the last few years. But I think they looked good last season, and if they can continue that and improve that mentality in terms of getting over the line, then I think they could do it.
I just think they're serial ballers.
Celtic, I think, they're probably over the pitch. They are a better team than Rangers, but they're aging for me. They're an aging squad.
Is there that pressure?
Exactly. So yeah, it's one of them. I get why you would say Celtic.
Who do Rangers have in their dressing room that's actually won?
Oh no, listen, I totally.
Did you not watch them in pre-season? They've all won a trophy.
Listen, I 100% get what you're saying.
That's my big thing.
Yeah, no, I get it. I do get it, but for me, they've got to win it at some point. Why not stop 10 in a row? It's a big incentive for them. Third place, I'm along the same lines as you, Callum. I've gone Aberdeen. Now, I've thought long and hard about it. I just, again, and I say this because I think you've got it spot on, they are a team with a mentality that can grind out results. Even when they're not playing well, and they were a poor team last year, but they still finished, was it 4th?
Yeah.
I think they've still got goals in their team. Johnny Hayes is a great signing for them, for me. I think they'll grind out enough results to finish third. And whether that means playing poorly or not, winning, it's all about winning. And I think Aberdeen will win a lot more games playing poorly than what Motherwell and Hibs will do.
It's wee things that Aberdeen do. I look at the games we played them against, obviously a poor record against them. You've got Lewis Ferguson. I think he's a really good player, but you'd hate to play against him, I think, in the midfield. He's standing 20 yards offside, I remember, at Pittodrie.
And he
goes to collect the ball, knowing he's offside. Then he goes, "What? I'm offside? I'm offside? Yeah, you're 20 yards offside." Then he puts the ball into Rose's head.
They know how to get a result, and that's just how I've went with them. I think Motherwell will be close behind in 4th. Again, they've recruited very well. I don't think they'll be quite as strong this season. I think teams will have figured them out slightly in terms of how to get results against them. But like you said, I don't think there'll be a lot in it in there. And I've also went Hibs 5th. So I think we're probably about the same, Callum. I'm not 100% convinced by Hibs. I know you guys are saying that they've recruited well. I'm not concerned about them, but if I was a Hibs fan, I'd still be a bit concerned about my midfield. Gogic.
Easy for you to say.
Aye. He is a good signing, but I think they're still light in the middle of the park, and I think teams that are hard to get behind will struggle against them.
I think is Gogic gives the balance to their midfield.
I
always thought their midfield was decent in terms of an attacking threat and creative, but I think he just offers the balance.
And to be honest, I don't think Hibs defensively are that good.
I said that.
I'm not about. I mean, Porteous is a bomb scare as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. He's too hashy in the tackle.
Hanlon's
so they're touch and go for 5th, but I went them 5th, and I've also went for us in 6th.
Yeah.
And by the way, when I was doing this, I've seriously considered putting us higher than that, but I was being a bit cautious. Again, we've spoke about the squad depth.
I didn't want to put us sixth.
We're a team fully.
I want to put us lower.
We're a team fully confident just now. We look like we've got goals in our team. Defensively, we look strong, and in the middle of the park, you could argue that's our strongest position out of them all. With Bartley, Pittman, Sibbald, Crawford in there, lots of options. So it would not surprise me one bit if we pushed even higher this year. But I was being cautious and putting us sixth. 7th, I've put St Johnstone. They know how to get results, a bit like Aberdeen. Even under a new manager, they've got a squad there that knows how to pick up results in the league.
Yeah.
They'll be absolutely fine. I personally think they'll be too far behind us. I think we'll finish top 6 comfortably above St Johnstone. Kilmarnock I've got an 8th. Again, they're a bit of an unknown quantity for me. I'm not sure what to expect for them at all under Alex Dyer.
You look at the experience element though. I think you mentioned St Johnstone, Kelly again.
Exactly.
New managers-ish.
That's kind of why I've went them that high.
They've both got newish managers, but Dyer's been there for a few years, obviously with Clark, and then Davidson was number 2 and played at St Johnstone under Tommy Wright.
Yeah.
So it's not, yes, they are new managers, but they're guys that kind of know the ins and outs of the club, aren't they? So
Dundee United I've put in 9th. I think I'm being kind to them in 9th, to be honest. They've not recruited overly well. They're relying heavily on Shankland. Rumours that he was at Ibrox. Whether that's true or not, it doesn't really matter. But I don't think they've recruited terribly well. It looks like they've got almost the same squad that they stumbled over the line in the Championship.
Yeah.
So I think personally I'm being kind to them in 9th. I just think the club, the size they are, they'll probably just get there.
I was thinking about switching them in St Mirren.
yeah, they were my punt, finishing 7th, but I just thought the potential goals factor that they offer outdoes some of the other teams in and around them.
I think I've got St Mirren 10th. I think they'll do just enough to stay out that bottom 2 again. Don't think they're great. We'll go into it obviously when we look to preview the game, but they've recruited heavily in defence, which you mentioned. I don't think it was overly needed. I think they're lacking up top. They've got a Beaker, and that's about it just now. But
I heard they've just been priced out for Jakubiak.
Yeah, but I think they'll do enough, especially at home. It's not an easy place to go, St Mirren, at the best of times. Ross County I've got an 11th. Like you, I think defensively they're very poor.
Questionable.
Yeah. Will they pick up enough points over the course of the season to stay at the bottom 2? I'm not convinced. And like everybody, I've got Hamilton. Same reasons. They've lost a lot of players. I'm always cautious about putting Hamilton bottom, but they just don't look like they've got a lot about them this season. And they've had a reasonable pre-season. I think they went to St Mirren and won 2-1. I think they maybe drew with Hibs, I can't remember, but they've had a fairly decent pre-season, but I'm not convinced by them, so I'm going to put Hamilton bottom.
So expect none of us to get that right.
Well, every season there's always a team that overachieves and there's always a team that underachieves. Who will it be this year? We don't know. Let's hope that we are continuing to overachieve.
We'll happily take our 6th place finish, which is across the board.
But we'll see. But that's our predictions for the season. Hopefully we're right in terms of where Livingston finish. It would be another great season if we could do that. And we'll see come the end of the season who's right and who's wrong.
Finally this week it's time to preview our first game of the season, a trip to Paisley to face St Mirren, a St Mirren team who are targeting a top 6 finish according to managing director Tony Fitzpatrick. It's a tough opening one, but one we have to be confident going into after our pre-season. What do you reckon, guys?
Yeah, unbeaten pre-season, obviously. You don't want to take too much from that, but I think that would give us confidence. St Mirren, as we mentioned a wee bit earlier, they have recruited well. I think it'll be a tight one. Personally, I think kind of like a battle of the defences type thing. Not many goals, but again, we probably said that last year with the 3-3. But no, I think it'll be a goal deciding. I fancy us 1-0.
Jumping in with a prediction away there. Wow.
Yeah. No, I think. I mean, as I said, we've looked really good. They've recruited well defensively, but going forward, I don't think okay, Obika scored a few against us last season, but I don't think they look that threatening. And over the past couple of seasons, when obviously we came up with St Mirren had won the league quite comfortably, and we came up in second through the playoffs. If you looked at us the last 2 seasons and you go, they were both in the same league, which one won the league? I think you would probably say
it's frightening.
You thought we would.
The season we went up with St Mirren, it's frightening how terrible their recruitment was that summer.
Yeah.
Why Stubbs went in and decided to dismantle that team. What was it? He had 16 players go out and 15 come in, and I don't think barely any of the players he brought in are still there.
No.
He's been pretty vocal about the sort of St Mirren in the back room.
And he's a big reason as to why they're struggling.
Yeah.
To be honest, Stubbs.
Of course he's gonna back his sell, isn't he? It doesn't matter sort of how it looks.
But yeah, I agree with you, Bruni. I think it's going to be quite a tight one. I think we're all kind of in agreement. We find, yes, the recruitment's been good, but I think it's strange. I think you said whilst we were kind of off the mic, what was it? They conceded 41
goals they conceded,
which isn't too bad considering we conceded 39 last year, but they only scored 24.
They were the lowest scorers in the league last season, 5 behind. I think it was maybe, I can't remember to be honest. Possibly Hamilton.
Right, but then surely you go, well, you know what? If you look at the rest of the table, defensively we're all right. We really need to look at the kind of final third, and I don't think they've addressed that at all.
But they've brought in 4 defenders. They've brought in Marcus Fraser for Ross County, Joe Shaughnessy for St Johnston, I think was his last
name.
Well,
he was at Southend, but he was previously.
They've brought in Richard Tate for Motherwell, and obviously they brought in Jack Alnwick, the goalkeeper, as well. So, and then the boy Nathan Sherin for Fleetwood, don't know much about, but he's a sort of defensive
midfielder from Norwich as well.
No, he's striker. Thorvaldsson. Sorry, no, he's a midfielder as well. They've recruited well defensively. They'll be a strong unit defensively, but where their goals are coming from, they're relying heavily on Obika. McAllister is usually a fairly attacking threat. But are they going to score enough to cause teams problems, which is kind of goes back to the predictions wise why we've got them so low, because they're not going to score a lot of goals. Hopefully they didn't score any on Saturday.
Ideally, yeah.
I think if they don't score on Saturday, they probably won't win the game.
No, just that Michael Owen.
Okay.
I think
that is obviously a joke.
As
Callum's raging here right now.
You're looking at me as if I'm mental. That can't be taken seriously.
How do you think we'll line up? I mean, my assessment kind of tail end of last season was I think we were shifting towards playing a 3-5-2, and having kind of looked at how we've set up for the games in pre-season, that would appear to be
I think the only real question mark is in terms of the left back role, because it looks like Brown's played out there a couple of pre-season games.
And I think the wee hint maybe he's been given number 3 as well.
Right, okay, so it looks to me like it'll be McCrory.
To be fair, it was number 3 last year.
I think he played mainly on the left last year.
Looks to me like we'll probably line up defensively, McCrory in goals, Devlin, Fitzwater, Guthrie, Ambrose and Brown. By the looks of it, Pittman, Sibbald, Bartley in midfield with Forrest just behind Dykes. That looks like the way we're kind of going.
I don't think that's really any secret. I'd probably say that would be our best defence. I mean, again, great depth. You've got Taylor Sinclair, equally probably as good as Brown. Same with McMillan and Devlin. I think Nicky Devlin, if he stays fit, will be one of the best fullbacks in the league in my opinion. I really rate him highly. He's quick, he's good going forward as he is defensively, and he's a leader as well.
By the way, cheers to Nicky for doing all that stuff during lockdown as well, giving us some content to put out on a weekly
Devlin's
basis.
Dilemmas.
Some of them were crackers.
Yeah, we had a few laughs in the group chat, didn't we? few arguments.
You'll obviously notice though with the games being behind closed doors, no fans. You notice the guys that talk throughout the whole game. McCrory, Nicky Devlin, Bartley, Dykes, I think as well, leads from the front. But I think it's a wee bit of sort of Bartley and Sibbald are kind of sitting, and you've got it'll be a 3-5-2. Sorry, so you'll have Bartley and Sibbald sitting, but Pittman sort of goes a wee bit as well. Him and Forrest sort of sit behind Dykes. playing off from either side a wee bit.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of what it's like. I don't think that's any secret. I think teams will probably know how we'll line up, but I think if we hold on to Dykes, that'll work wonders, because he's so good at linking play. Fitzwater, I think, out from the back, him and Ambrose can play with the ball. They just look so comfortable on the ball.
I saw the highlights of the Ross County game, and Effie looked unreal. And that was just watching 10 minutes of highlights. He looked like he was having an absolute ball.
Having a great
I'm genuinely looking forward to watching Effie.
You know,
like full kind of ish pre-season.
Yeah.
You know, Sheffield United. Sheffield United. With
I've heard of them. Aye.
They play that sort of 3-5-2. But it was again like Gallagher, when Gallagher lined up on the right side of the three, and maybe it was Lawless on the right wing. He'd sort of turn into a right back, and then you've still got two backs. I think it's a sort of foolproof formation.
It'll be interesting going into the season, especially sort of behind closed doors games. I think early on down south when this all kicked in, I think a lot of the games were 0-0 after maybe an hour, because it was difficult to assess how the games are going to go in terms of competitive action kicking in. Yeah, we've played some pre-season games and there's been goals, but it'll be interesting to see if it's a bit more cagey when the league starts.
Do you reckon it could benefit us away from home?
Well, I've kind of wrote that down. Our away form under the spotlight.
If we better win on grass, it'll get blamed on coronavirus. Can already see it.
No, I had wrote that down as in terms of away form being under the spotlight. Like Gary mentioned it in his interview earlier, that it's a big thing, big sort of push. And I got the impression when I listened back to that interview that I think the players are now aware that we need to go out and start winning away games,
folk up,
because that's what's going to keep coming back at us, regardless of how well we're doing.
The thing is, our home form's been that good. You could almost sacrifice a couple of results at home for the sake of having a couple of bit more positive results on the road, and then folk would just shut up about it.
Yeah. No, I think the behind closed doors could potentially help. In fact, I can see there being a few surprise results. Going to Ibrox and Parkhead, different entirely without a crowd there.
Yeah, but I think it's just going to, for example, Saturday, Celtic at home to Hamilton, I think it'll just be a training game.
Oh, absolutely. But I think there'll
cricket score.
I think there'll be the odd surprise during this period of time without fans. In terms of going to Ibrox or Parkhead, a team like St Mirren
might be more confident to have a bit of a go.
Yeah, exactly.
Less of a cagey experience, isn't it?
So, Callum, you've obviously gave your prediction.
I think we should also mention, obviously, with the lockdown ending, the pandemic ending the season, obviously ended our prediction league as well, and I think every league in Scotland was declared. Every winner was given their medals. I think I was top of the league. I think what
you should have done is check your
mailbox,
because there was a
vote. Might have gone to your junk, but our league wasn't ran by the SPFL, so we had. It
was a null and void vote, 2-1.
2-1. So
unfortunately,
if you've managed,
I mean, do you really want one with an asterisk?
Absolutely.
Tainted.
If you've managed to get to this part of the podcast, please tweet me your support. And justice for.
I like how positive you are about the podcast. That you're going, if you've made it to this point.
He's media man at the club now. This is second fiddle now.
Gonna get that a lot now.
Anyway, so Callum, 1-0 prediction for Livingston. Ewan, what are you thinking?
I'm going same, 1-0.
And full house, not 1. I'm going 2-0 Livingston. So that'd be a great start to the season. One that I think we need, looking at our fixtures. A tough start, but one that I think we can do well in, and hopefully we get a good result.
So that's it for our opening episode of the 2021 Premiership season. As we said earlier, we'll continue to strive and bring you the best free content available to us on a weekly basis. Don't forget to head over to our social media channels. We're of course on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Simply search TalkLivi there. Hit like and follow so you don't miss out on anything we do.
This episode and all our previous episodes can be found on all good podcast streaming sites, including iTunes and Spotify. We're also on YouTube, search for TalkLivi, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Or you can simply head to our website, talklivipodcast.libsyn.com, where you'll find every single episode we have done over the last 3 years.
That's it for this week. The brand new season is only days away, and we couldn't be any more excited. Let's hope for another successful season for the club, and we hope to see you all back at the games very soon. So from Callum, Andy and myself, thanks for listening and happy new season.
Livingstone, no Livingstone, a love will never